Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. Let's do an alpha strike of Infested planet. Seems like a particularly good planet to alpha strike, quite frankly, since it's covered in bees and all manner of other things. You are the commander of an elite squadron of guys who, for some inexplicable reason, are taking on an entire planet without any actual infantry support. I have no idea why you would do this, but as it turns out, the stuff you're fighting tends to die really fast, so it's not too bad. This is a squad-based strategy game. It reminds me in very small ways of Syndicate, in the sense that you generally move your squad around and slaughter large numbers of enemies in a hail of bullets. But you can also split off members of your squad to do different things. The thing is, when you do that, you significantly reduce the firepower that you have to bear on the hordes and hordes of enemy creatures that are coming at you inexorably. They just keep coming. They're relentless until, of course, you destroy what they're spawning from in the first place. So, the current state of this is that it's on early access. Doesn't have much of a campaign yet. It's got about half of the supposed complete campaign, and it's got a skirmish mode. Supposedly, some of this stuff is procedurally generated, although it's kind of difficult to figure out what is and what isn't at this stage. And as you can see, the version of it is 0.7. Options are minimalistic, let's just put it that way. As it stands, the game is a two-dimensional, top-down, kind of sprite-based title, so you don't need too many graphics options. This only works when you restart, which I find very, very annoying. I kept clicking on it and trying to figure out exactly why it wouldn't change my resolution, but it's like, no, you gotta restart the game. Really? I gotta restart the game? Seriously? Oh, well, it does have that. It's like, hey, you can use up to 4 cores, which is quite nice. How dare it not have hexacore support for this clearly demanding title. Okay, I'll do a little bit of the campaign, and I'll throw a skirmish at you just to show you the more advanced options that are available with all of the stuff unlocked. So let's get into it. Okay, so the missions will give you cash upon completion, which generally allow you to buy bonuses for that particular mission itself. So let's get into it and show you exactly what's going on with it. So it is about blowing up aliens. Let's get that right out of there. Should be fairly obvious. Okay, let's equip our guys with a few more guns, shall we? We're going to pick one of our squadron members and equip him with a fusion shotgun. These are the 6 members of my squad. So the rifles are fusion shotguns. Now, all of these weapons have different characteristics. I'm going to take 3 with fusion shotguns, 3 with rifles. That sounds like a pretty reasonable start. And it seems like most of the missions in the campaign are basically destroy all of the enemy points, and then you can take the points for yourself. You can also construct buildings, which, for the most part, consist of defenses of some description. And then what you do is you obliterate huge hordes of enemies in the sense of kind of a massive Starship Trooper-style affair, except there's like 6 of you and 100,000 of them, and your guns are super effective at absolutely obliterating them. As you can see, you don't want to let them get too close, because they will kill you quite quickly, but it's relatively easy just to kind of push forward as a fire team and destroy the hordes and eventually get yourself to the things that are spawning them in the first place. You also have ammunition. This can fuel numerous passive abilities depending on the weapons that you've picked, as well as the ability to fire grenades and use a couple of other things that I don't have access to in this campaign yet, but I will show you in the skirmish. Now, you can do an advancing attack by holding, well, just pressing the A button and then clicking as to where you want to go. And if you want optimal fire arcs, then you will split your groups up and you will micromanage them. So you'll be able to send like a shotgun guy from side to side and then take big glaring chunks out of them. But you do want to be a little bit careful, because if you take on too much at once, then you're going to have a great deal of trouble. You can also change the orientation of your soldiers particularly, so if you want them firing in a particular direction, then you can do that. Okay, let's lay down the explosions. There we go. Throw a couple of grenades down. Can replenish these from my ammo crates here. So, in the campaign thus far, it hasn't been particularly tactical, but I can definitely see why it would be. It seems like the more complex missions would give you the ability... Okay. Damn, there's not enough metal to put it... Yes, there is, actually. I've got 18 metal. That's more than enough to put a turret down. What are you talking about? That's kind of crazy. I guess it's going to insist on making me do that. I wonder if I can skip this objective entirely. I have 18 metal. Maybe it wanted me to equip all my guys with shotguns, but I chose not to do that, so... Okay. Yep, it's like I'm going to Yes, I do have enough for that, so never mind. Now, you do have to be a little bit careful, because you might think, oh, well, this is a bit of a mindless game. You don't really have to do much. Well, you do, because these nasty purple turrets have better range than you do and tend to poison you, which is not so good. And they will result eventually in all of your dudes dying a horrible, painful death. Not exactly what we're looking for, is it? Okay, so let's get a turret down here. There are a number of different buildings you can construct. Some of them are research buildings that give you access to new abilities, such as the ability to call in chopper strikes, or have buildings construct without the aid of soldiers. There's all sorts of interesting stuff going on there. But most of that's sort of gradually unlocked during the campaign. Alright, let's grab some guns. Okay, so, what is that? I am not 100% sure what that is. It seems to be a rocket launcher of some description. Let's grab another one of those. There we go. Start to blow our way through here. So that turret's going to hold that line for the time being, and then I can advance, and I want to try and blow up the enemy turrets as quickly as possible. It is apparently possible to set up stations as med bays, which is kind of required because the poison that these damn things pop on you lasts forever, so you do want to be a little bit careful there. I'm not sure where I'm getting this medical benefit from, but I'm happy that I am. That's all I can say there. We've got more rockets in there. There's something immensely satisfying about chewing your way through massive hordes of enemies, and I think in the later missions this has got rather nice potential to become rather tactical and micro-orientated, which I think is definitely a good thing indeed. Okay, I guess that's capturing it for myself. There we go. I'm gonna pop a turret down there so that's gonna hold that line for the time being. And then I can head out of this without having to worry too much and kind of attack this area instead. I'm really not sure what's going on there and why it's capturing it for me, but no, I apparently lost the target. Okay. I guess there must have been a bunch of hordes coming from that direction, so I guess I have to go and clean that back up again. But I mean, what you're seeing is the basics of the game, yeah? And you will try and advance and destroy all of the infested structures, and you'll do so with a very, very small number of troopers. And it's actually a ton of fun. I got to admit it. It's just a sense of being able to cut through such an obscene number of enemies and carve a bloody swathe through it. That's a lot of fun, actually. And I do see interesting strategic potential. I think up to this point with the campaign, since it hasn't really required you to do more than one thing at once, the micro potential is kind of wasted. I even busted myself through a skirmish mission and also didn't really have to micro too much. I think the addition of turrets and buildings means that there's not immediate threats. I mean, all of this stuff, there's no way this stuff will ever get past this turret. It's more than powerful enough. It may even be that turrets are actually too potent in this game because they make you feel too safe. I think that if you want to make really interesting, compelling later levels for a game like this, you got to make sure you don't feel safe all the time. You are in a situation where you are frantically having to make snap decisions like, do I split up my squad to take out 2 objectives at once before I get overwhelmed? But if I do that, will I have enough firepower to actually break my way through this? Up to this point, I haven't experienced that. It may just be that it's early levels, but if the later campaign does that, then it will be a really interesting, tense strategic experience. And also extremely satisfying in the sense of blowing a huge number of enemies up. And I cannot emphasize just how much fun that actually is. The weapons in this game just carve their way through enemy hordes like they were nothing. And as a direct result, you have a really fun time with it. So it seems like this game's got a reasonable amount of potential. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out of this and I'm going to show you the skirmish mode because there's an awful lot more stuff unlocked in this, and I can give you an example of a full range of the weapons and things that are available. So, this is beginner. Let's do something a little bit more advanced. Let's try something a little bit difficult. Abyss is apparently master. I'm very curious. Should we try Abyss? I'm probably going to get my ass kicked. Let's experiment. Let's see exactly just how hard this game can get. We're doing the Abyss. There we go. This is apparently a master level. I am very intrigued to see how this goes. Supposedly parts of these are procedurally generated as well, and I'm not sure to what extent. Oh, yes. There apparently are mutations going on. They did mention this, actually. I'm not sure what that does, but I guess I'm about to find out. Okay, can I get a weapon? I don't have a lot of resources to start with. Well, let's get a medic first, shall we? There we go. It sounds like a good idea. Armed with a grenade launcher. Always nice. Let's start advancing. We don't actually have... I've got 2 medics actually in my squad. I didn't mean to do that, but there we go. Apparently it buys 2 medics if you select your entire squad and then click that button, so you gotta watch out for that. Probably make more sense if you just click twice to do that, but hey, whatever. Oh, these guys have bullet reflectors on. Interesting stuff. The limited amount of ammunition that you have at your disposal to deploy special abilities as well as fire your rocket launchers is also quite interesting. You've got to find that in other places. Okay, these bullet reflectors are getting really, really annoying. I'm very, very glad that I have medics at the back to actually stop that from happening. I've got to take this area over, but it's proving to be extremely difficult, as it turns out. Oh, time to back off. This is not going well. What the hell are those things? I don't know what they are, but they're obliterating me. Wow, is that... what is that? Did my guys get mutated? I really am not sure, but whatever the case, I'm being completely destroyed here. Well, as it turns out, yes, it is actually quite tricky. Cool. Excellent. That's what I'm kind of glad to see. Now, you'll have noticed in the weapons menu that there were a bunch of different interesting options, all the way down to miniguns, flamethrowers, and things like that. The armory menu shows you a bunch of different buildings, including teleporters, shield projectors, as well as smart mines and various kinds of turrets like a siege cannon. And then your research menu gives you interesting research buildings, like the ability to call in a chopper strike. Dispersal means all marines share health and increases marines' armor. All sorts of different interesting things that go on there. Like if you get engineering, your bunkers get a free mini turret on them every time you capture them, which is really, really cool. Lord knows how you make your way through this, I tell you, because this is a nasty situation indeed. Seems like I can't even directly target these enemies either, which is really strange. I'm not sure actually what's going on there. I'm trying to directly target them because they seem more dangerous, but can't seem to do that. So, Infested Planet looks like it's got a decent amount of potential. I think probably the biggest thing to say about it is that this game looks like it is lacking multiplayer of any description. I think having a 2-player co-op would be pretty cool for this title. I think that's probably exactly what it should have, because then you'd have multiple people controlling multiple marines. You could have a slightly larger force, maybe. It would take away some of the micro, but I don't see a huge problem with that. Man, I'm getting owned. Wow, that's incredible. Let's grab a one on an advanced instead, so I don't get destroyed on the first area there. Yeah, so multiplayer would definitely be nice, but it doesn't look like it's going to be offering that anytime soon. The story is practically non-existent, and I don't necessarily expect that people will have necessarily looked for a story in a game like this, but yeah, the dialogue in between missions is not exactly great. It seems that there's some temporary research options you can get in between missions as well. That's quite nice. I like that a lot. Those only last for the mission, so you're basically buying a buff for that particular mission. I'm okay with that. That's pretty reasonable. Take a couple of shots at that building. I need to take that over as quickly as possible to try and move out of the way of taking fire from these damn turrets as well. There we go. The grenade launchers are surprisingly ineffective. Come on, I need this. Need this. Get in there. The controls seem a little bit weird. Like, if I want to tell them to move and ignore enemies so I can get to a location faster, it doesn't seem to do a particularly good job of that, and I'm not really 100% sure why that is. It's really quite odd. Try and capture this as quickly as I can. Advancing seems to work fine. Alright, we need I think, a mortar pretty much immediately here before we get completely overwhelmed. There we go. This should make matters a little bit more interesting. The mortar isn't firing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I wanted it to attack the building so that the spawn points got weakened. I'm going to try and pull my guys back a little bit here. It's just minor problems, really. And obviously the game is highly repetitive. Let's be frank. It's a mixture of a strategy game and a little bit of a tower defense. And oh lord, I'm getting destroyed on this side now as well. That's not good, is it? Absolutely not. I'll have to split off a couple of my marines. I'm glad to see in these more advanced skirmish missions it's doing exactly what I hoped it would do to make the game more challenging. That's really, really great. It's exactly what I was expecting, having to make these tough decisions. Do I split my guys off to try and save this particular area? And it's obviously a difficult call to make as well. I probably shouldn't have sent the medic down there. That didn't make a huge amount of tactical sense. But the shotgunner should be able to save this area. Or not, as the case may be. Alright, now we're in trouble. But yeah, I mean, the overall conclusion I come to is that it's a single-minded game that's very, very satisfying to play. It's not a great-looking game by any stretch of the imagination. Animation quality is now non-existent. It's 2D sprites, but you know they're nice and easy to see. They've got good visuals, and there aren't all that many games that let you cut through huge amounts of enemies in this way and still have a little bit of strategy involved in it. I like that. I like that a lot. I think it's got a decent amount of potential. So there you go, folks. A look at Infested Planet, currently in, I believe it's early access program in beta right now. Don't have a release date for this yet, as you might imagine, but it is looking promising. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.